Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'll try to speak up. I'll try to sit up. Don't slouch. I hate to share pain. I really do. But I think speaking and talking is going to help. My femurs and my knees firing so fiercely. It's been going on for about an hour. I could just bug out. It's like someone is chiseling my legs apart, and it's so painful. And I've been hyperventilating through it and calming down and hyperventilating through it and calming down and moving a heat pad and moving the heat pad from the hips to the thighs to the knees and using extreme heat, the top notch, it's a level amber through red. So anyways, most fabulous gift came into the mail today. And I hope it's not what's eliciting this, but that's okay because I have to trust the spirit. Now it's anonymous gift, and I should hope that the person comes forward and emails me. I won't expose you or whatever, as being someone who's so precious to send such a free end. It's a friend. It's a free end. They sent me 2 boxes of coffee, and it's a special coffee with turkey tail mushrooms and one other ingredient. I'd have to remember, but my brain is kind of snapped. I'm in real extreme pain. This is beyond a 10. They do the scale 1 to 10. Oh, well, sorry, 10. There's that 10 again. The thief, the thief. You can imagine that if your body was to die and they were to CPR and bring you back, the process of coming back can be very painful as it hits the bones and the vessels of oxygen. Oxygen probably bursts within the cells to give life. Now, as far as the chemo bursting into well, it's not the chemo. This one is the immunotherapy. Goes into the bone and forces the bone to create white blood cells, which is quite fortunate tonight because tomorrow's my test. They're going to draw blood to find out if I'm still low white blood count, leukemia, neutropenia. So, anyways, this beautiful coffee. So I quit coffee a year ago or more, 2 years ago or more. Time slips. I cannot, I cannot grasp beyond time anymore. It, I'm an OCD, so I'm an obsessive compulsive person that when something tastes good, I don't just have 1 cup. No, I'll just drink the whole thing. That was before. And it used to ruin me and it gave me tummy aches. And finally, I had to come to the conclusion that it's hurting me. So today, and it came in the mail early enough, 5 o'clock or so, that Jeff discovered it. These are little cups that go into a cuisine machine, some kind of cuisine machine that I don't have, that pressurizes and punctures the cup and then does the steam. But that's the espresso. I have an espresso machine. Now the box doesn't say that you can use it with espresso, but it worked perfect. It's the right amount for espresso, the right amount for the cup. Strong, very well tasting. Oh my God. So I had a cup this evening and woo wee. Yeah, we decided, well, Jeff and I, that we decided that in the mornings, if I was to have a cup of coffee, it would be a morning thing. So now it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm in total extreme pain. But it's not unusual. No, this is an unusual thing. It's not something I haven't experienced through the immunotherapy. And most of the blame uh, the culprit for most of my ailment is the drug and the immunotherapy. It's not my body doing it. It's doing it to my body. There's a big difference in the rationalization of such a thing. But I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. It was wonderful. Jeff doesn't want to touch any of it. He's an instant coffee guy. And he wasn't before, but he is now because of the convenience of him being able to stir a spoon. So much easier. But he had to make my coffee, so I told him he should make a cup, but he didn't. And well, how glorious though of a gift for me. Two big boxes, so it's going to last a while. And the importance is the turkey tail mushrooms because I know that they have anti-cancer causing agents. We should trust our myceliums. I trust mycelium. You know, there's poisonous mycelium, but what it does for the trees and what it does for the environment is incredible. And since the chemtrailing processing, which I hope is addressed, maybe RFK can address it. Maybe Elon can actually define it to us as to who's doing it, why they're doing it. Is it abatement? Is that what it is? Well, look what it did to the trees and all the fires in California. It kills the tree from the inside out because the mycelium can't uh, reach out and give the nutrients and the beneficials. So it's always the Fed as it is the black operations that do such a thing, that introduce these species of invasions and these chemicals that uh, slip into our systems. And if you think about all the nightmarish previous mining operations, just like losing the Animas River and to tailings, the Fed is just a effed up mess, and they're going to get punished severely by the people, we the people. And we shouldn't be afraid because they're not people. No, they laid their hand on that Bible and they swore to uphold the truth and the righteousness and the quality of life, the living word, so that we may strike that. We may strike that blow with our rod, and that the living waters flow for us as they used to. Yeah, as they used to, not for them. No, I think you understand what I'm talking about. Now, I ran into a post that was declaring that the demons, I'm the Mashiach, or I'm the chosen one, and I need all the demons to come to me, and we're going to do our destruction and save the world, but I don't know what to do yet, so they have to come to me. Didn't I go through that? Didn't we all go through that? Many are called. Now, the premise of such an emotion upon the spirit should lead you to understand, well, what is a demon and where is it coming from? And it's from Lilith. These are Lilith's children. And in the Bible, it tells you male and female, he created he them, calling them both Adam. Now, if they're both Adam, one is first and one is last. And even though Adam refused to lay prostrate, it doesn't mean that he did not consummate, because he did through the apple, through the conceive of Eve, which is his erection, flesh of his flesh, bone of his bone. So Lilith begat children, us. She did. She begat children. And so in that Euphrates, and the angels threatened to kill her children. She didn't return to the garden. Yeah. So there's spirits within us as we are the vessels of Adam, certainly. And so it's unnecessary for us to carry demons. They should be cast out because they would affect you. They would make you sick. They could give you cancers, things like that. I've had my experience with the Illuminati. Yeah, and the dark. So anyways, non-reciprocal little bitches. As much pleasure as they want to give you. So anyways, you can call it Jezebel spirit, you can call it sexual spirit, you can do whatever you want to do to place the demon. But the thing is that in the past, all of these things were kept in vessels, and they were vessels that were living so as to receive that refining fire that comes. And they all know that. Our time is not yet. Legion told the Lord, it wasn't their time. What shall you do with us? You've taken us out of the vessel of the man. They've left the man in the grave. So they entered the swine and, of course, went into the sea and created through the sea as people re-legioned. But as far as the others, other demons, such as the demonic presence of Nephilim, the giants and the mighty men of old, all of those spirits exist. And they entered the trees, and we became mighty trees, mighty old growth trees. Now, mankind, in its haste and misunderstanding, started utilizing those trees and using what was imbued in them through those demonic forces. Um, they created everything. There's infrastructures, their buildings, and most would catch on fire, of course, because they're wooden. And there's few wooden structures that are still around today that have survived that show the old growth. But within the capacity of the vessel, they then moved on to stone. And so did the spirits. They had no choice. They had to move into the stones. So the stones themselves, they are imbued with spiritual energies, which are principalities if they're in the capacity of the many, and they are. And collectively, we separate and we refine, and we have beautiful tabletops, and we have beautiful islands in our kitchens and in our bathrooms, and our, you know, all the accoutrement walls and everything else. And then in construction, you see them using all the stonework, which is so beautiful. So those as vessels contain spirits which are suspended, waiting for that mighty fire, that great fire that come to refine all things. But it's not yet time for that. So, anyways, I try to enlighten this Mashiach, and so that he doesn't start consuming Legion, um, unless he meets Lilith, because with me, Lilith gave me her poison so that I could consume her children, so I could understand a little bit more, because the experience itself is the only way to know what happened in the garden. So I do. I know. I know from the beginning what happened. And it isn't some fluffy little story that Kleck might want to put out there. It isn't some bullshit story of aliens like Kleck wants to put out there, because we are not. Alien is in the book. It does speak of aliens. Yeah. And I believe in the Gigi. I do, of old. I believe that the Bible is a borrowed book, and it's a magic book. It's a binding tool. And the most precious portion of it at this point is the book of Revelation, as it is the testimony of Jesus Christ, he who sits upon the right hand, who's holding a scroll. It's an adorned angel. It's a it's an anointed cherubim. His name is Donald Trump. Why? Why is it a man? Well, it's a vessel who's receiving. It's a vessel who was chosen, selected, actually created, yeah, for this purpose, because of the covetousness of the devil himself, to love all things. When you covet something, you love it terribly. I am proof of that. I am proof of that. As I have been a servant to another man throughout my life, 37 years, and it's not a relationship. It never was. Love was not the not love is not the intention. No, you can say narcissism, but that's such a silly, stupid word, so broad and generalized that it's just a bunch of angry women at their husbands or just a bunch of angry men at their wives, trying to blame their psychosis. Yeah, it's more than that. So I have had to deal with someone who was hiding a secret and using me as a measure of a mask. And then in the same respect, me creating a mask, which is all my decorating in the house and my gardening and being recognized as a gardener, but yet I wasn't. I'm not, and I'm not any of those things. I'm not any of the colors or the trinkets that I've managed to pick up so minimally in my efforts because um, this man did not support me financially as a man would to that which he loves or adorns, which should be the altar of his house. Master of house adorns the altar of his house. The altar is his creation, as Eve was conceived to be um, Adam's partner. Yeah. And so it would be as husband and wife in its truth. And that's mostly why churches are considered a woman because of the altar. And it is something that would be adorned as we see across the spectrum as to what they do to altars. But in the household, which is the temple as it is the body, it's the master of the house who adorns his wife, who then can procure the most beautiful children and the most beautiful lives, which are not servants unto them. No, there is a servant unto the house, and those children become greater people who do good things. They do good things upon the world because they're raised between the altar that is so adorned and so loved by the master of the house. The master doesn't have to do a thing. His children are pleased to please him. And see how we teach our children. And of course, within the structures of our teachers and um, fundamentals and crafts, that's where the eunuch steps in. The most creative people you'll ever meet are homosexuals, but there's a difference. There's a gay lifestyle. Gay lifestyle is a debauchery. It is the Jezebel itself. It's the liberalism. It's the cunt that's trying to stunt you into becoming an effeminate male, and it's a monster. You could see it in Pink Floyd, nasty, nasty, anus man, the judge. Yeah, that's nasty. It's all nasty. It's Illuminati, and if you walk into any gay bookstore, you'll find it's nothing but debauchery and nastiness, and all of it needs to be shut down. There's nothing wrong with going into a homosexual store and finding the most unique crafts, the most unique designs, the most unique expressions that you would want to bring through. You would want to embrace because they're joyful. And, well, joy can't be purchased. Well, joy can be purchased. That's right, joyful. Yeah, it's more than just love, it's joy. Sorry, my brain flipped. It's joy that fills the lamp. Yeah. We have joys within us because they're desires. Yeah, well, my knees are firing off really bad tonight. Talking is helping. It's just these slight movements. I don't know if you realize I'm slightly moving my spine as I'm talking. It's almost like the Nakash. And what comes through is a bit of relief. Carrying through the pain to another portion, just for a moment, can sometimes relieve the knees. But the knees in the soul body above us represent Venus. So Venus is a little hot tonight. Yeah, it has to do with my needs. Getting on my knees, crying, begging to make the pain go away. I don't want to get on my knees just yet. No, I can barely stand up when it's like this. Oh, getting to this room tonight from the living room? Oh, honey, I needed me a little pair of wings to fly. And it was pain. Payne carried me across the room. Payne carried me through the kitchen, through the laundry room, and into my bedroom, where I managed to get clothes on because I can't sleep with clothes on, just my undies. And I plopped in the bed and sat here, and finally managed to replop myself here. That was like 30 minutes worth of an ordeal to just do that. And so this is what's firing off, kind of rubbing my knees. Yeah, I'm gonna talk in measurements of disjointment, but not anything that I haven't spoke of before. And it's only a way for me to grasp myself. Oh, the coffee was designed for uh, mental stimulation, and I I imagine that's what the mushroom is designed for also. So someone might be worried about my mental capacities, as I do too. I want to keep my memories. And what a wonderful gift. And thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't even thank you enough. And that was so delicious. I remember how beautiful it tastes. Coffee and my espresso machine worked after all these years. I have not used my espresso machine in nearly 10 or 12 years. And everything was there, all the parts. Cleaned it up, got all the old calcium out. Yeah, it's cleansed it. So I didn't. Jeff had to do all that work. Now, please forgive me if I speak negatively um, towards him. And if he should ever hear this, he knows it's all the truth. The hiding and the lying, the misconceptions of who we are. And yet, I totally do not reject him because he is the enemy in my house, for which I love. And love is a given, it cannot be purchased. So, of all the things that he can purchase in his own selfish ways, and all the things that he can do for in his own selfish ways, and his attitudes and his passive aggressiveness and his lack of adorning the altar, his inability. He has a little altar set up for the Shiba Inus, and perhaps I forced him to destroy the dogs too early. They had plenty of old age go and pain and suffering, and some people bring their dogs through to the very end. Just like we took poor Redmond, but he was a young cat who had lymphoma, and we had to do the chemo thing, and he couldn't take it, and I can understand that why. And I think about the poor little children in cancer centers, and they have to take immunotherapy. Of course, they take a reduced dose, but even a child should never have to experience what I'm experiencing. To feel like a baseball bat has just been slammed into your knees. Well, the pain just doesn't go away when the bat goes away. No, no, that's when it begins. I feel so sorry for those babies. I want to take the pain away, but I can't take the pain away from my own self. I have to just wait till it dissipates. But I have to trust that it's my own body producing white blood cells, releasing them in such a capacity that is so painful and like extreme to help me. And that was a 13, not a 10. Against that, oh, please forgive me for carrying this through, for giving it to you, for offering it up in prayer and in supplication of relief. But I believe in you. I believe in all peoples. I believe in the young man who's Mashiach. I would encourage him. I don't know who he is. He calls himself Israel. And once you do that, well, Jacob, you've got some troubles, baby. You've got some troubles, baby, because it's a false state. And Israel is 12,000 of each of the 12 tribes. And the budded rod is a real thing, just as rod of, the rod of Ezekiel. Um, uh, I wish I could express it so that you would really believe, but that's okay. It's not important. It's for you to receive. He says, for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. I would imagine that hearing about such a thing allows you to open your eyes, to encompass it, and even in your own life. That's how it worked for me when I started opening the Bible. I heard voices and I immediately burned the Bible. Yeah, I burned the Bible outside in the backyard immediately, and it was in 6 months because it took a while to figure out what Paul had done. And I sent it unto God Almighty to read it Himself, because anything that goes into the fire is consumed by God. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. And then I buried it, another Bible in the backyard that Jeff had. So no Bible in the house. Now I can use passages through others as wisdom comes through. That's how it was meant to be. And that was the covenant that I made with God by burning the Bible so that I could understand, so I can know where it's coming from. I'm very, very thirsty suddenly, and I don't know how I'm going to get to the kitchen. And I'm looking around, there's nothing. I get this really bad taste. And that's when I know the chemical is really flowing. And you know that Zepzelca stuff I'm on has been split apart into two compounds now, which worries me, and I will not end speaking about that. They're doing what their functioning is supposed to do, but they're doing it separately, and that's not right. And that's the citric acid. That's the problem I have. That's why we're going to do a write-up tomorrow. And thankfully, the hospice folks, the palliative care hospice, they're backing me. They said, yes, you've got to make an incident report. Other patients should never have to face this when it was so in their face of my saturation. I didn't hide it. They didn't look at it. I didn't see it. I didn't recognize. None of us did, not even the doctor. So, here was I want water, but that's okay. Imagine I'm having a mint. I do want some chocolate mints. Oh my God, I love chocolate mints. Right now, it's like, oh, heaven, heaven, heaven. Just had to eat it in little pieces. Oh, you do know, no, you do know, and I don't know if you can tell. Maybe it shows up in the way I'm talking, but from this point, the sagittal plane over, all of that is numb. Complete. I could chew on my lip and I can't feel it. So I have to be very careful because it is scarred now, but it's healed, but I can't feel. It's like going to the dentist and getting it uh, injected. But the thing is, I have a toothache at the same time. Ambisol is keeping it down, so it's not present right now. But when I woke up at 1 a.m., that's what started it. I had a little discomfort and I had pain. So I said, well, gotta pee, get up. I did, and I took the Ambisol, and then everything transferred from that toothache down to my body. Boom, I was awake and firing in the chair. I'm crying. I'm making noises in the living room. I can't get the comforter. I can't get the heating pad to work on the legs, to stop it. It gets worse and worse until I finally say, "That's it. I have to get up and start talking and moving this spine because it transfers from the spine to the knees. Nothing beyond the knees. A little ankle feeling, but I do a lot of moving in my feet while I'm laying there. But the knees are firing like chisels, chisels and hammers. Yeah. So interestingly, in Scripture, all these rapture folks are expecting tomorrow to be, well, not tomorrow, the 24th to be the rapture day. That's their next. You know how they do the cycles. Like every month, every feast, they do it every year. Blue heaven, all the rest. They're all rapture folks. There's been rapture, rapture. I don't know how they keep up. It doesn't seem like their cameras are keeping up with Blue heaven. Poor young lady. I always thought she was a hip chick, but she's lost in her doctrines. And if you could just shake her out of it, she would come out of it. I'm sure she would come out of it strong. Her husband is blind. Yeah, just a nice dog. Hopefully the dog's still around. But 24th, and ironically, today. Today was the 23rd, and I can see how if I can't handle this drug, that the spontaneous human combustion, that's what it was. It says the listing on the drug is human spontaneous death, which I have redefined for them, which should be taken off the brochure completely. The patient doesn't even need to hear such a thing because if it happens, then give me a break. It's human spontaneous end of life symptoms. So the end of life symptoms strike you at any age, even those young children. Could you imagine a child going through Zipzelka and then they have to be struck with end of life symptoms? Well, that could cause human spontaneous death, but it doesn't need to be in the brochure. It doesn't need to be in the literature. That's not transparency. No, that's just oversight. Yeah, why don't you try the drug and talk to me about it? And then we'll redefine these words. And the citric acid portion of it wasn't just it's just not a a, a, a bypassing thing. No, it has to be looked at. So today is a very handful day. The 23 is a 5. And with the end time spirit, the 10 to the time, 8, which is the hourglass, creating the 9, the spirit, upon the day. So the end time spirit upon the hand. Well, it's going to take its toll on you. The hand represents the 5. The 5 is the penta, it's the upper room. It is. It's a traveler's number, but it's also something that can stop something. Yeah, like death. So death and freedom are basically the same thing. The only thing different is that freedom doesn't hurt. No, freedom does not hurt. No, death is pain. It certainly is. And it's death and hell that the Lord overcomes. So we know that he's still in the grave. He's prepared. We haven't received the sixth seal. We know that Yellowstone is doing its thing. We know that Cascadia is doing its thing. All over the world is doing its thing. We're at a maximum with the sun. Been bombarded past month. Yeah, it's amazing that it's charging, charging, charging. You better get your credit card out. That's kind of cute. I'm so thirsty. Ugh. Oh, it's probably the THC. That's what I did. So when it hit me at 1:30, the first thing I did was grab some Motrin. And then, did I say Motrin? Tylenol. And then I grabbed a 100 milligram THC honey cap. And so that's probably what's making me thirsty. The cottonmouth. Well, it sure took a long time for it to kick in, but honey, my knees. It's not about me. It's a honey cap is a indica product. Should work on my body. Yeah, my mind will use the coffee and will sparingly introduce it because this next day is going to be the tough one. And the immunotherapy, the infusion makes me feel better. The infusion of the normal saline. It fills me up, it gives me all plumpy, makes me feel like, oh, I'm all comfort on my body and my body. And then there's which has pre-meds too, so there's probably something in there that's doing it. And then comes the chemical, and then comes the shot, and I get the shot in the belly. Yeah, so I get the shot in the belly. I never feel a thing. Yeah, but this easy bruising situation and this hemorrhaging situation, it could happen again in a more extreme level. And now I'm signed up with palliative, so from 8 to 5, I have a phone call I can make, and they'll be here. And then afterwards, then of course there's ER, and my discouragement based on ER is and being talked to and manhandled in such a fashion that they're so afraid to even use a goddamn port. I mean, are you not professionals? Have you not grown up? Do you not do continued research? When I was in the medical field, I was constantly trying to reach for new material, learn new things. And it wasn't to be a practitioner. No, I was a CNA from 1996. I went into school right away. And then I became a CNA right away. I was hired right away and worked 3 years, nights and days, wiping asses and cleaning all the patients and loving on them and learning from them. Numerology, things like that. I practiced with them, making them comfortable. It was sort of acute, subacute. So those that were just those that were just there for infections, I usually would skip them. Some people with the blood pressure, that once an hour bullshit. You just disturb the patient through the night, and you should know what they're suffering from or why they're in the hospital. One young man was there because he couldn't take care of his feet. Now, why do you keep waking him up at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, doing these rounds? And we used to do it. They used to make us do like once an hour in some of these patients, but these were critical patients who were on trachs, and I think I've described it in the past where I helped usher several of them into death. I walked them into the light, and they released themselves. Right. Of course, one incident was pretty serious, where he died and he didn't know who he was. He turned around and saw the most horrific himself he ever saw, and he didn't know how to escape the room, and he threw himself out the window, and all the glass and everything just busted out. This double pane window, big double window, in a private room because he was in isolation in a fetal position for for years. Everybody knew he was known for years. Parkinson's advanced. And all I did was just rub his chest and rock him and talk to him and tell him where he is and what is going on. That he could release by going to the light, by following my voice, he could find a way out. And as the nurse and I left the room, she said, "Go ahead and try it." He says, "I've been working with this patient for years and he suffers so much." And he used to, he was the same breath that I have, the end of life breath that I've gone through and suffering. And by the time I finished rocking him, it was almost like he had gone to sleep because his breathing had normalized. And she was quite surprised that he relaxed. And when we left the room, it was isolation, so you have to remove all the stuff from the next room before you leave that room. And because it's strict isolation, because he was MSR and MRSA and everything. And he was so bad shape. And as the nurse and I were walking down the hallway, going to she was going to document. I had other things to start with, and it's like taking a break, after working with someone, and you're so caught up in all the garments, and you've done everything you need to do: wound care, washing, bathing, changing the bedding, as the nurse administers drugs and all that. But we hear this loud crash, like something hit the building or something, and we both like, "What the hell was that?" We rush back down the hallway, and you see a window, and you look through a window, but you don't see anything. So it's like, God dang, jump in there, put on all the garb, da 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 da, and the hat, and the whole thing, get all garbed up, walk in, and the air in that room changed. And of course, the window's not there. So it did change, but it was a smelly air. It was like plasma. Now, it could have been the street, could have been the back parking lot, but all the glass was outside of the room onto the parking lot, 5 floors down. And he was peacefully laying there, the fetal position, and he was gone. And nothing had changed from what we had done. Nothing had changed. And there was no furniture out there. It wasn't like someone took a chair and threw it through the window, but that's what it was like. Aluminum, sliding, double painted. Ah, couldn't figure it out. There was a big investigation and everything, but I couldn't get over the smell, how cold it was in that room, like plasma. And as the nurse and I left the room, it was very strange. Um, She was shooken up. So what happened? I let the man release. Said he left his body and he didn't know how to get out of the room. And when he saw the horror of himself, not realizing, he just threw himself out the window. She just, her hair just stood up on it. It was the talk. It was the talk. That was an incident I went through for real. Another older, bigger man, I mean, very handsome man. He was on trach and he was struggling bad. And he was there with us for about a week as I cleaned him, rolled him, changed his bedding, washed him. And there's a lot of time to talk and they can hear you. The patient can hear you. Somehow or another, they hear you. They're in like a catatonic state, whether it be medically induced, but they're on a trach, so they're just on life support. And I said to myself, do it again. Talk to him. So I put my hand on his after I was done and told him who I am, where I am, where he is, because I don't know if he knows where he is. And the city, state, time, place, talk to him, listen, and then explain that there's a great light forward of him, and it should be with a voice, and to go to the light and follow the voice. It should be my own voice. It's this world. Come here. Please come here. All the things that you worry about and all the things you struggle with are done. And I rocked his chest and I waited with him and his breathing. The machine is doing the work for him, but you can tell he's just relaxed. And then suddenly the machine fires off. All the accoutrements, and in walks the nurses with their gear, and they know that it's DNR, but they have to document. They line up the EKGs so that they can take readings. They find out that he's gone, and they declare him dead, and they shut it all down. And it's a beautiful thing. No family comes to help. There's nothing there for him except for the light, and he's gone. Yeah, think about that all. So that was in from 86 to 89. And then from there, I went to Houston for 2 years. And I came back before 9/11, the 2001 9/11. Yeah. So 2020, I was in Las Cruces. I was here. I think I celebrated the Y2K here in the United States, in Las Cruces. Yeah. And then it was Aetna Prudential. Prudential was who I was hired by. I really enjoyed it as pre-cert tech. And then Aetna came in and took over, and it was like Etnitis. It was a disease, very corporate, mean people, and everybody else was mean and rude. And all they did want to do is punish us for being the company they bought out, and we'll replace you. And it was just very terrible. And they even had different formats, different this, and different rules. And I was suffering from my clinical trial that was on for anthrax, which should have been for HIV, which fucked me over, and then an inguinal hernia as an excuse to repair. As to the reasons for my symptoms, they do that all the time, and it got screwed up. It feels like something stuck on my teeth like that. Yeah, very sharp. My tongue. Oh, it's the numbing. Keep my lip away. Mhm. And so when I couldn't take care of myself in Houston, and I wanted to leave Ed Jeffrey came dashing in. He had a job down there to do, and he wanted to show me how much he changed. And I love you, and I've changed, and we had good boingy boingies, and he had a Mustang rental, and he taught some classes, some CGI classes, whatever it was at the time, and which is very primitive, but yet it needed to be taught to the industry for people to start for advertising and things like that. So he was involved in that, and it was just a subcontract shit. But Mr. Dashing. So come to Las Cruces and I'll take care of you. And it turns out that prior to when I left him, my mother took him in. And then my previous babysitter gave him a job at the city as a bus driver. And then from there, he got an IT job at Cantillo district through my babysitter. Yeah, met a friend of the family. Um, I used to have a family, and I used to have a mom, and I used to have siblings. So they kept him and helped him. Everybody has in my family, for which they experienced him. I didn't get to experience any of that. I was in Houston for 2 years. I don't know what was going on, and I had no idea that he was living there in my mother's house. So then when he comes jaunting through, he came through renting a $900 a month house on the west side. Never heard of such a thing back then, but I'll take care of you. I said, I'm not living in El Paso. I need to recover, but I can't go. I have to go somewhere else. And closest was Las Cruces. And I said, okay, Las Cruces. And he immediately found a rental that was adorable and met Bonnie Hilton. And I could say her name publicly. I can. She thinks of herself as a public figurehead in this town, and her son too. And they ran the gin, and popular people, very popular. And she took to him and me, and the idea of a gay couple taking over the old house. And I transformed it. I have pictures that make it look just so like an English cottage. It was so cute. But they decided to divorce Bonnie Hilton and her husband Gary, and Gary the Spear. That's when it all started. And learning things about Las Cruces and being from El Paso, it was so unique that he married a Christian woman, dumped her, and she had to purchase everything. But he wanted to rent the house that we're in, so I had to destroy everything and dig up every plant and dig it all. And but I built a shop because I was going to go into creating metal flower works for gardens and metal flower works artwork. So I built a shop and I have pictures of it, very professional done, and he wired it up, and it was going to have running water, had its own porch. It complemented the house, and he took over and kicked us out. And that's the first time I'd ever been evicted by a divorce. So, like as if I had done something wrong. It didn't take me but 2 years of recovery and to build all that and for them to remove it from me, right out from underneath me. So the next door neighbor who adored me, uh, Zelda, I like her name. She's in her 70s, and they would travel a lot in RV. They knew the Cosmatis, and which is the big family here in the valley that used to own predominantly the whole Rio Grande as they sold it off. And I'm not extreme. And the Taylors, which became the Cosmatis through Robert Cosmati Farms. And it's all co-ops, so it's not like he was the kingpin, but he certainly was the stud. And I loved him dearly. And she introduced me to their honeymoon home from years before when they were just teenagers. And he was forced to marry her because she was a nasty little thing. She's a roly-poly, and she was mean. Oh God, she was mean. Who could tolerate her? And everybody knew her. Gary Hilton had dated her once in high school. That's just too much. Yeah, so one landlord to another. And then, of course, 10 years of building beautiful gardens and having my coops and my rabbits, and everything was so wonderful. And it's a dream. Stuck between two 20-acre plots, 40-acre plots. I don't know how big they were. 20-acre plots, yeah. Stuck in between growing corn to barley to chilies to onions and the farm workers would come through and yeah, I fixed up that house. only to be evicted after 10 years. Well, just about 10 years. And because the neighbor and because Robert died and she was selfish and Jeff wouldn't stand up for me. I was furious and I wanted to leave him. And he was the reason why I got into the fight with my mom. There's the very reason why I got into a fight with my mom. My mom was utilizing him for computer work every week. She was messing up her computer with all that gambling bullshit she did, all the little games and things she played, and she had her doors open and her cookies wide. So he had to cleanse that computer. That was the days when he used to defrag. Okay, things change. But she took to the computer and oh my God, hold on, this leg's not working. I have to lift the leg to move it. It won't lift. I, there's no way I'm getting out of this chair tonight. No, not for a while. Hi. So, yeah, and I got into a fight with my mom that day. It was terrible, and it was all about me, so that it wouldn't be on him. Yeah, yeah, it was. And for that, I'm guilty, but you know, guilt is guilt. And my mother was the queen of guilt. She taught me all about it. She knew how to guilt you. She was a wonderful person. She was the kindest, wonderful English marm you would want that just could cook. She could listen. She could listen and hear the rudest things and take it. Sometimes absurd things that I would introduce to her in her life. And she's like, oh my God. And yet she opened to it like a sister, like a mom would as a friend. She was my friend. The fight that we had, I don't know what my siblings think we had. My dad construed the whole thing because she cried. She cried. It hurts when you face the reality. Yeah. She protected me from him, but by doing so, she continued to do it as a hub to the rest of the family. No one knew anything that anyone was doing unless they went to her. And it was so terrible. And I was so mad at Jeff. He had to work that day, and he was furious, and he hates, and he projects. It's very passive aggressive. It's very scary. You know, here's a man that keeps a gun beside his bed. Well, I don't do that. You know, if you're gonna have a gun, put it somewhere, not beside your bed. What the fuck? I'm gonna wake you up one night and what's gonna happen? I'm in pain. I can't walk. Crawling on the floor like a monster. But he's a good man, and he has been a provider. There's never been a question about what to fix for dinner. He will run to the store if I require an ingredient. He serves me in this capacity, but it comes through at such a cost. It does for the price of freedom, and that I gave up all my liberties and all my freedoms and all my pursuits, and it's not a relationship. It's endearment as is indenturement, and it's wrong. It should be legal. Half this house should be mine for all its purposes, as I would have been a benefactor of it, partnership or otherwise. But there's no legalities behind it. I made sure of that there would never be a contract signed, that there would never be such a thing, and that marriage is between a man and a woman, and that gay is a lifestyle of debauchery and it needs to end. It needs to be banned. Now, not illegal where you're punishing people, just ban it. If you do it, say, hey, no, you don't do that. Ta, 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 ta. You don't go into our libraries and speak like that and dress like that. This is not Halloween. And Halloween, you can play all you want. And we should clean up Hollywood too. And then clean up Hollywood, you clean up Halloween. You notice that? Because Halloween has become Hollywood. It's amazing. See costumes. I don't know what these people are. Or I think I drool. Do I? I almost felt like it. I should pause. and I should get a drink. But I can't get up. I wonder if I could wheel myself into it, because this has wheels. Now, they proposed that I need a walker for these times, and it's true. I need one of those walkers that has a seat attachment. So, oh, it's stretching outward. I'm gonna stay put. Yeah, I guess I could go into the bathroom and do a brush, but that's just right there, and it's gonna be hard to get there. Yeah, you see the rug's in the way too. Almighty God. Oh, lift this pain. Venus, whatever you're doing, maybe it's taking some of the tail of the comet. Could be. Maybe the tail of the comet is washing through Venus, and I can feel it in the soul body. Ooh, shinga da da. It really hurts. It really does. It's the hand. It's death. It's pain. Death is pain. It is. I assure you. And the Lord shall overcome, and we shall never feel such a thing again. Never again. So the irony that I have to start the chemo, and then on the 24th is their great lifting. Yeah, which is death. Rapture is death. Harpazo is death. We should be lifted and meet him halfway, because he has to leave the grave in order to take his position as if crucified, so that he can open the scroll for the cherubim to be bound by these things. And it's all going to take place by November 5th, of course. But then we have that stupid electoral bullshit crap that I can never grasp. And how that can be even illegal is beyond me. That the popular vote doesn't count? Then what the fuck did we just do? Did we motivate our representatives? Well, who are those representatives? And how twisted is Walls to see how sick it is to know the machine is not working. Dominion, Dominion, the money and the meat. Well, you've lost the milk. Yeah, so I don't trust it. Now, the popular vote should wipe clean any idea that the electoral has any right to lean one way or another based on the voice of the people. But see, we're talking college. When they use the word college, oh my God, calling you to the edge to push you over? Yeah, to push over, and now they're they're kindly releasing you from your debt, your college debt. Yeah, with our money, which never existed, and your liberalism has spread, Marxism, the sickness of the Jezebel Harris, the sickness of walls. Ugh. And they said that men shall have faces as dogs in the end. Well, do you see how he holds his mouth? It's almost like the old puppets or Muppets. He holds his mouth like a dog. And it's just disgusting. The most disgusting thing you can imagine. It is so reality in your face that we are at the end times. The 10, the thief, is the end of the number sequence before it steps into singularities. We have to recognize the zero. From this point on, if you don't, then you'll always be in debt. Always be in debt. You'll always be controlled. You'll always be blinded. It's so important. And you add the zeros yourself in your own plight by not recognizing the true zero, the true emptiness, the true man of perdition, the son of perdition. I hadn't earned money since 2008. I have been indentured. I have been indentured. Everything that I do had to be done for another at his pleasure or else suffer. I don't know why that tooth is so sharp. My God, my front tooth right there. Maybe I chipped it. It feels a little bulged. When when your mouth goes numb, your teeth feel like they're out of place. You ever do notice that? Your tongue kind of touches it like, did it always feel that way? Did it always sit like that? Did it always bulge? I don't know. Did it always have a bump? Life. It's okay. My face does burn. It does burn. It burns from here to here. Yes. It's like the burn that I have in the shoulder because of the dissection. And they say that's what this is all connected to, the dissection for cutting the nerve. And I was lucky not to have any nerve damage in the face. That's what they said. But then it came. And my doctor's excuse is, oh, that's old anesthesia from dental work in the past. I'm stretching again. I'm so sorry. Oh, I think it went out for an hour. Oh, bing, bing, bing. I just hit an hour 40 seconds. I am so sorry. I could start again. I don't want to make it too long. I may start it again just to talk. And you guys, you don't have to watch. This is for my purposes to release. I'm going to try to get up when it's time. Not right now. No way. And in the morning, if they have to wheelchair me in there, we're going through this. But I have to set in motion the potion of protecting others. And that has to do with writing them up. An incident report. And they're in a lawsuit right now, and the last thing they need is an incident report in oncology, because oncology is what's being sued because they denied a patient for not having any money. And they're a nonprofit, and you cannot do that. No, you cannot do that. I don't know the results of it, who was involved, and it's not my business. But it's not my business to hurt anybody either. I was surprised that the Mesilla Valley Hospice and not the hospice, but the palliative care did not know my doctor. They've never worked with him. And it shows. And it's time he's going to hear it. There's no more of him being in charge. Now it's his signature. I tell him what I want. As a patient, I tell him what I want. You sign it, that's it. If you don't, I'm calling palliative right now because I'm under their care, their power, their authority, and there's another doctor there who could sign it and get me what I need, even if it's to continue this measurement right here. I'm suffering. But see, he doesn't understand. He's a middle-aged. Well, he's not middle-aged. He shaves his head. He looks older. He must be an early med student who's just now establishing himself, and he's so eager and he wants to know more, and he hasn't the experience of it. And I happen to be his first lung. Isn't that cute? Jesus Gomez, Dr. Jesus Gomez, and he's adorable. He is. He's adorable. I want to hug him, kiss him, and love him, and embrace him, and pray for him. And my success is his success. And I've always believed that. And I was so afraid. And he didn't give me assurance other than the fact that I felt trustworthy and trusting with him that he would be okay. And he's a rooster. He's little rooster. He's up early and he's there. And if you're impatient, he is not going to ignore you. But he wants to be precise. And you can't be. No, not unless you want to take the medication and tell me what you think. Don't do that. This is poison to the body. I become highly toxic. I have to stay away from it. I have to. That's why I have to isolate the bathroom. And I told you it's going to have to be reconstructed. It's going to have to be redone, the whole flooring. And I should hope that I have the strength to do it myself. I do, and not as a servant. No, no, as a friend. But I'm serious about alternate housing, even though it's going to take me away from all the things that I adore and have built. But I'm being taken away from them now, and so it's okay to let go. A lamp is good. Bed is good. Lazy boy's better. I can't sleep in a bed. Um, it's still talking on the same video. I should do another video. Bless your heart. Thank you for the coffee, my anonymous friend who sent me coffee in the mail. I'm glad I posted my address. I'm not afraid to receive people, even though you shouldn't have to wear masks. I have a box of masks until I'm clear of neutropenia. Then we don't have to worry about that. You come on in. And we have to be careful of my body fluids on you. Yeah, things like that. And where my body fluids go, like my bathroom. So we'd have to use Jeff's bathroom, which is reg. So if the first person who comes is a carpenter, I would love you and adore you, feed you and nourish you, and we could get into the bathroom and but it too needs to be redone where it needs to be reconfigured because I don't know, Mexican people must be like this big. Whoever designed these houses, this man, Mr. Hill, and like the Plinko doors, the bathroom is so tiny that you just tin 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 to get into it. And it's like, but why don't they just turn the tub this way and put the toilet over here? And then make a smaller vanity, and then you have space where you could dry yourself. You're standing, you get in the tub. It's a tub shower with the window, and it's you could do it's frosted. It's not going to harm anybody to know through a little window that you're taking a shower. I don't see anything, anyways. No, they just didn't configure. There's no configuration proper. That's our old world, isn't it? This past generation. A hodgepodge. I really need something to drink, and I can't get up. Isn't that weird? Oh my God. I can't even suck on anything in here. I usually have something laying around. Smacking. Okay, I'll be back. Take care.